The Nikon Z 105mm macro lens is a go-to for shooting close-up subjects, and it features an excellent autofocus system, which the majority of us are actually using when we're shooting underwater. That being said, if you find yourself in a situation where you absolutely need to manually focus this lens, we offer a solution that lets you do that, and let me walk you through how to put that together using one of our DL systems. This custom manual focus gear sleeve features 3 friction fit pads that will correspond to the ring on the lens that lets you manually focus. In order to install this, what we're going to need to do is remove the body cap from the camera body. Do this as you normally would, press the button, take the body cap off. And now what we're going to do is we're going to put the gear sleeve into the front of the housing. Now on this particular housing, I've already removed the gear sleeve retainer, which we will not be using for this particular application. What you'll do is take the teeth, point them towards the camera body. It'll drop down into the opening, and you'll make sure that the teeth engage with the drive gear of the knob on the left side of the housing. This is the knob that you'll turn to focus the lens when you're underwater. You'll feel it engage, and then you can confirm by turning that knob and seeing the sleeve turn. Now what we're going to do is make note of the white dot on the camera body and the white dot on the lens itself. Now, because I am intending on shooting this in manual focus only, I'm going to switch the switch to M, leave it on full, and again, remove the back cap from the lens itself. Note where that white dot is, note where the white dot is on the camera. I'm going to line those up, and then I'm going to feed the lens down into the sleeve. You'll feel the pads hit the ring on the manual focus ring of the lens. And I'm going to push it down until I feel engagement on the camera body, and then I'm going to bayonet it on. In Nikon's case, we're going to go counterclockwise until it clicks into place. And then before I put the port on, I'm going to confirm using the knob on the side of the housing that I am in fact turning the manual focus ring on the lens itself when I turn the knob on the side of the housing. Now all we have to do is put the port system together and cap everything off. In order to accommodate the 105mm macro, I need 2 different extensions. I'm going to use the 20 plus the 28 plus the flat port. Before I get started, what I'm going to do is I'm going to unthread the 3 thumb screws of each component until they're not protruding to the inside diameter of the component itself. This will make sure that they don't catch any O-rings when you put everything together. So I'll make sure I do that on all 3 components, the 2 extensions and the flat port. Next, what I do is I take note of the thumb screw itself will correspond to the pocket of the mating piece, so that when you push the 2 pieces together and then you tighten the thumb screw down, it will fall into the pocket. So before I do that, I'm going to take a little bit of the included Ikelite lubricant between my finger and thumb. It doesn't take much, just enough to add some lubricant to the O-ring so it can overcome friction in the piston seal. I'll run my fingers around the O-ring, visually inspecting it and also feeling for any debris that might affect the seal. And I'm going to go ahead and do that on the corresponding piece, which will be the other extension in this case. And that is going to be the sealing surface, which is this vertical wall right here. Again, applying a little bit of lubricant and feeling for anything that could compromise the seal. Now, which component I put together first doesn't matter in this case. I could put the 20 then the 28 or the 28 then the 20, but as long as they go together and then we cap it off with a flat port, that'll accommodate this lens. So, as I said before, these thumb screws are going to correspond to the pockets, and the thumb screws also correspond to each other. So as long as I line them up and then press down firmly, I can tighten the thumb screws of that top piece. Now, these only retain the 2 pieces together. The seal occurred when I pushed them together, so no need to over tighten these thumb screws. It doesn't create a better seal, it just keeps the pieces together. So lastly, I'm going to do the same thing with that top O-ring as I did before, applying some lubricant and feeling for anything that could compromise the seal, and I'll do that on the sealing surface of the flat port itself. Line up the thumb screws with the pockets. Press down, and then tighten the 3 thumb screws. Again, the seal occurred when I put the 2 pieces together. Lastly, again, just double checking to make sure that I don't have any of the thumb screws protruding to the inside diameter. I'm going to take my housing, a little bit of the lubricant, I'm going to apply that to the O-ring on the port mount of the housing. Again, applying lubricant and feeling for debris, visually inspecting to make sure it's clean. And again, I'll do the same thing on the extension. In the port assembly here, I will take one of the 3 thumb screws that will correspond to the top of the housing, drop it down over, press it down onto place. The seal occurred. Now all I have to do is tighten down the 3 thumb screws. From here, housing assembly is the same as it was before. You can create a vacuum, add your handles, extensions, etc. But you're ready to go, and you can manually focus the Nikon Z 105mm macro lens underwater if you feel like you need that creative control. If you have any questions whatsoever, drop us a comment down below or shoot us an email to ikelite@ikelite.com.